everybody, Howard here with I Want to Tell You, a George Harrison tune from the Beatles Revolver album. And what I'm going to do is I'll just do a playthrough here and show you what I'm doing with this particular tune. I'm actually adding a couple of the keyboard parts as well, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about both of those interesting chords, the E7 flat 9 as well as the B diminished 7, okay? And we'll also talk about a couple of different ways to play it. I'll play it one way in the tutorial, adding in the piano part, but then I'll show you how to play it within the chord itself, okay? So there'll be a couple of ways to play that E7 flat 9. So here we go, and then we'll get to the tutorial. So first up is that opening riff. You can see the tab up on the screen right now. And I'll go through it nice and slow, and then we'll play it up to tempo, all right? So there's a lot of pull-offs, and it goes like this. Nice riff from George, and like I say, it's a lot of pull-offs, right? The main thing here, aside from the pull-offs, is to keep that A string ringing out throughout, like a drone note, all right? And you can use different fingers to play it, it doesn't really matter. And then we are into the song, we're into the verse. And as far as the verses and even the chorus is concerned, it's more piano driven than it is guitar driven, but we will go through the chords, okay? So first up we have an A, then we're going to have a B, and then we're going to have that E7 sharp 9, okay? So let's talk about that first and foremost, because there's a couple of different ways to play that E7 sharp 9 where you can bring in the piano part as well. But so what we're doing is we're doing staccatos, okay? Right, so you want those chords to be very staccato, kind of mute in between each one. Make them nice and tight, okay? And what we want to watch here is the timing, okay? So on the A chord, the best way to approach this is maybe just to count to 4 3 times and then 2 times, so that you have 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2, and then switch to the B chord, and you're going to have a count of 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Very George Harrison, okay? And then we have that E7 flat 9, okay? Very interesting chord, and I'll give you a little piece of trivia on that one. You can play it like that as well, okay? And that's 8 times. 1 2 3, 16 times. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Right back to the riff, okay? So again, count to 4 3 times, then a 2 count, then 6, and then finally 16 on that E7 flat 9 chord, okay? Now, that's one way to play the chord, and in fact, that chord can be found showing up a few years later in John Lennon's I Want You, She's So Heavy from Abbey Road. Pretty cool chord. It's also found in the middle of that opening chord progression as well. There it is right there, showing its head again. Maybe I'll put a link to my I Want You tutorial in the description box below, okay? So back to that E7 flat 9 chord. You can also play it like this, which you can see on the screen. It's a little bit trickier, of course, but if you play it that way, you can kind of incorporate that piano lick into it. Just sweep through the chord or strum the chord to the B string, and then come up and hit that open E string, the first E string, and you'll kind of get the chord and that piano lick at the same time. So you can play it either way, okay? You can play it this way, or you can play it this way as well. It's entirely up to you, okay? And then we head back to the main riff, of course. What's interesting is they always play the riff just one time, okay? They play it in a row at the beginning of the song, and they loop it at the end of the song. But in between these different sections, they just play it one time, right? So they go through all of that again, and you make your way back to that opening riff again, and then we go to the bridge, or the B section of the song. Into the verse, okay? So it's the same idea. The chords are very staccato, but we have some different chords this time. We have a B minor, just 4 times, and then we have a B diminished 7. Okay, now often you'll see it played where you'll just go back to that E7 flat 9. But you can hear it doesn't quite capture what you're hearing on the recording. And for one thing, McCartney, unlike the previous E7 flat 9, he doesn't go to E on the bass, he sits on B, right? And if you play, you can hear the relationship, clear relationship between both of those chords. Excuse me. Except there's a little bit of a difference in there, right? And it's all because of McCartney sitting on that B note. And chances are, it is George just using a diminished chord, a full-blown diminished chord. You can play it either way, right? You can play it like this, or you can play the full. But that will capture it, especially if you're playing it by yourself on guitar. So we have the B minor, the B diminished 7, and then we have an A, back to B major, that is. Then B minor again, and then the B diminished 7. Right, so let's run those chords down again. An A, and again incorporating a bit of the piano into that, you can hear that they hit the A chord and then they make a sus4 out of it on the piano. On guitar we just simply add our second finger to the 3rd fret on the B string, and I kind of hit the G and the B at the same time. And then you can reach over here with your pinky to the 5th fret on the 1st E string and play those piano triplets. So that's kind of fun and cool to do. back to the verse, okay? That's all the parts of the song. That's it. You just kind of go back and forth between those bits. You can hear that on the recording. And so let's talk about a couple of those little piano things that you can add as well, okay? So at the beginning of the song, we hear that opening riff, of course. And then you hear this piano come in, right? And it comes in playing this. And that just sounds really cool over the main riff on the guitar, right? So if you're playing with another player, if you're hanging out and you want to do that, it's pretty simple to do. You can see it on the tab. But what you want to do is place your ring finger on the 7th fret on the D string, your first finger on the 5th fret on the G string, and then you're going to hammer to the 6th fret on the G string as well, right? And you incorporate your open A string into that, and you have. Then just place your pinky underneath your ring finger to the 7th fret on the G string, and that's it, right? Leaving that open A string to ring throughout. All right. Now, concerning that E7 flat 9 that we've been speaking about so much, again, if you're playing it with a second player, one guy can just jump off and play. While the other guy is. As opposed to what I said earlier on one guitar, which sounds kind of cool as well, right? But if you want to do that, it's just a simple pull off from the 10th fret on the G string to the 9th fret on the G string. You can do it on the B string as well, but you might get a little bit heavier sound here. There you go with I Want to Tell You, another great tune from George Harrison from the incredible Revolver album. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I'll probably just do the run through again right here so you can see how everything is put together. But it's a pretty easy song to play, a couple of wicked chords, I guess. But other than that, it's not too bad, okay? So anyway, thanks for watching as always. Thanks for supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.